Helmets on for safety. Welcome back to Random, and today, well, it's kind of obvious where I am right now. If you can look behind me, this is the Kennedy Space Center. I mentioned a few videos ago that my editor finally got a job down in Florida, and this just happens to be in his backyard. So if you can see right behind me, the front gate to the Kennedy Space Center, it is currently open. The gates open at 8:30, so people can come in and park. The Kennedy Space Center itself opens at, I want to say, 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you come down here, expect to wait a little bit before actually going inside to see all the really fun stuff. Now, the reason I'm filming out here, all of Cape Kennedy, all of the Kennedy Space Center, all of North Merritt Island is technically federal land. Yes, you can take pictures of the Kennedy Space Center, and I don't know whether or not you can actually film near the exhibits or in that facility. So I'm probably not going to get in trouble. However, I would rather have permission to film there and do content. My editor would rather we have permission to film and do content there. It's much easier and safer, because if we didn't, the worst comes to worst, we could end up getting banned, and my editor would be beside himself and probably do terrible things to me if we get banned. So we don't want to get banned. We would rather have permission. We would rather know 100% that it's okay for us to film there. So we're out here in what is technically public area, so it should be fine. So NASA, believe it or not, started back in 1958, and it was preceded by, let me pull out my editor's notes here. It was preceded by the National National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA. And now, of course, that inevitably became the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, what we know today. It is headquartered in Washington, D.C. It's funded predominantly through taxpayer funds and so on and so forth. I say predominantly because there are also people that end up needing satellites put into orbit, and NASA, being one of the primary organizations that can do that, typically does that. So NASA rockets will launch, say, telecommunication satellites for different companies. They'll put them into orbit, they'll maintain them, they'll keep an eye on them to make sure that they don't come back into orbit or come back to the surface of the Earth, and so on and so forth. Of course, SpaceX being one of the primary operators down here at Cape Kennedy, or Cape Canaveral, I should say. Blue Origin, the United Launcher, Universal Launch Assembly, or a company, ULA, they'll launch rockets here as well. Now, my editor works literally right across the street from the Kennedy Space Center. A fact that he likes to remind me of every time he rubs it in my face, which is protected by a steel faceplate. Anyway, NASA is a non-military US-based organization with mission directives for science, space operations, exploration systems development, space tech, aeronautics research, and mission support. Mission support being if anybody in the ISS needs food or research materials or new modules to put on the International Space Station, NASA will help do that. Of course, Blue Origin and SpaceX will also help with those endeavors, but NASA is their first go-to. Oh, come on now. A lot of programs that people will recognize and remember from NASA are Mercury, Gemini, the Apollo project, the Skylab, the space shuttles, the International Space Station, of course. NASA is a big contributor to that. And the recent Artemis missions. Of course, everyone recognizes Artemis 2, which just had their successful touchdown a couple of weeks ago. That mission was started here at NASA. So lots of really cool stuff. Now, like I said before, I'm filming out here because myself and my editor aren't sure we can actually do filming at the Kennedy Space Center. So NASA, if you want to do a collab, if you'd like to extend an invitation for us to do that, we will happily do that. And it's getting kind of busy out here, so I better wrap this up. If you have any suggestions for video content, please send that in the comment section down below. Let my editor know that he's a schmuck for finally getting work down here, right across the street from arguably the coolest place on earth. And as always, folks, keep it random.